people, from the cruelest to the most mild. He gives various examples of the crueler forms of the way in which the majority has expressed itself. In a lengthy footnote to the book, for example, in some of these parts, he talks about, he gives us two examples. One in which, during the War of 1812, he says there were some anti-war journalists in Baltimore. Maybe you read that passage, who were taken out. Their newspaper press was burned down, and I think they were hung, he says. This is the way in which kind of mob mentality took over. And he also uses the example of the way in which black voters in the state of Pennsylvania, and focuses on this particularly, have been disenfranchised. And he mentions Pennsylvania in particular because Pennsylvania is a Quaker state. That is to say, a state where one would have thought liberal opinion towards questions of racial justice would have been most advanced. And even there, he says, the majority constrain African American voters from free blacks from voting. So these are ways in which, again, some overt and cruel and persecutory, others milder and through the form of ostracism, that he wants to say that democratic sovereignty can exercise itself. Chains and executions are the coarse instruments, he writes, that tyranny formerly employed. But in our day, civilization has perfected despotism itself, which seemed to have nothing more to learn. We have perfected despotism, he says. Under the absolute government of one man, despotism struck crudely at the body, so to reach the soul. No doubt thinking about the Inquisition and things like this in Spain and in parts of Catholic Europe. And he writes, and the soul escaping from those blows rose gloriously above it. But, he goes, in democratic republics, tyranny does not proceed in this way. It leaves the body alone and goes directly for the soul. Well, there's a wealth of commentary you might think about when you read that passage that's implied there. Oh God, the time's moving so quickly. So much more. So those are the three. So that for Tocqueville is one of the other sides of the democratic experience. And again, I want to return to a piece of that on Wednesday, next week rather, Monday, because I think you will see in Volume 2, Tocqueville has something of a change of heart. He doesn't become more optimistic. In fact, he becomes far more pessimistic about this. But there's certainly a change of tone in what Tocqueville has to say about the potentiality of majority tyranny. Well, we had so much fun watching the movie. I didn't get a chance to, there's a little more I wanted to say, but this seems like a good note to break on. I'll try to finish whatever I can with Tocqueville on Monday, and Wednesday I'm going to try to wrap things up and tell you what you should be thinking about. So anyway, enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you next week.